about radiation in our drinking water. Tonight, we've discovered the radiation in Texas water is far worse than most could ever imagine.
In fact, so bad, it turns pipes radioactive. In fact, even junkyards won't take these metal pipes.
Recent state water tests for radium show water wells in Melvin with nearly 2 times the allowable limit. Brady, more than 3 times the radium limit. North San Saba, more than 4 times. Millersview with 11 times the limit for radium. The I-Team uncovered this white paper from 2001 on Texas's radiation and water problems, written by the agency's own scientists, that found over 200,000 Texans drink from public water systems with relatively high levels of radium, and states an additional 1 out of every 400 people would experience cancer in some areas of Texas, posing a potentially serious health concern. And one of the worst spots for radium contamination, it named the Hickory Aquifer that supplies much of central Texas.
Here you have water flowing through pipes that look like this, that are Peg and Geiger counters. People are drinking the water out of that.
So we paid a visit to the TCEQ.
What do you make of that?
And their manager for public water, Elston Johnson.
We need to look into it. Actually, it's the first I've heard of it.
So what about the state's own findings on radium?
This white paper says that all the communities that are taking water out of the Hickory Aquifer without filtering it for radiation, that the drinking water would be unusable out of the Hickory.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. So.
Some people claim the KHOU 11 News I-Team has uncovered a conspiracy of the highest order, and this involves radiation in your drinking water.
Last night, we told you how for years, Texas state officials hid the amount of radiation they were finding in tap water. And tonight, the 11 News I-Team reports it appears the state's top politicians have been in on the plan.
Even the governor was informed, and investigative reporter Mark Greenblatt is here now with more. Mark?
The EPA had already told states not to lower water radiation results in this December 2000 federal rule. And now, our uncovered emails show what happened next was not a mistake. Take this note from a TCEQ manager saying there may have been some EPA guidance on not subtracting, but this has been the practice in Texas since day one. And this option of not subtracting was thoroughly discussed with the commissioners, the top leadership of the agency. And so, we were directed to maintain the current methodology for subtracting. And this TCEQ report to the Texas Water Advisory Council tells us why. That maintaining the subtraction will eliminate approximately 35 violations, keeping the water providers in those communities off the EPA's radar. And this same report went to the state Speaker of the House, Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst, and even Governor Rick Perry. And yet the practice continues.
Speaking of the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, on Monday, May 9th, they announced that they are going to be halting their daily reporting of the radiation levels. In accordance with the normal RadNet protocol, EPA will be analyzing milk and drinking water samples on a quarterly basis, precipitation samples as part of a monthly composite. Due to the consistent decrease in radiation levels across the country associated with the Japanese nuclear incident, EPA will update the daily data summary page only when new data are posted. After a thorough data review showing declining radiation levels related to the Japanese nuclear incident, EPA has returned to the routine RadNet sampling and analysis process for precipitation, drinking water, and milk.
Arizona have been looking for ways to protect themselves from any possible radiation. ABC 15's Eric English is joining us live. And Eric, health experts say there's no need to worry, right?
Well, Katie, there is concern that radioactive material could make its way to the U.S., but scientists are convinced that if it does, it would be in a depleted state and not cause any health concerns.
I don't know if it's confirmed or what, but some articles are a few days already. They have been made a few days ago. I can read that the government here asked to other countries officially to censor the information about Fukushima radiation. So they are asking officially to communication network and to the webmaster to delete all the illegal information for the sake of the public and the sake of the morality of the public.
So they haven't made it illegal here in the United States to discuss this type of thing. They just simply stopped talking about it on mainstream news. And that's all it takes for people to ignore it. They don't need to make laws, they'll just tell us what news is, and they'll tell us what to watch and tell us what's important and what's not. khou in Houston is definitely to be commended on their investigatory research into that matter. I wish they would talk a little bit more about how that relates to Fukushima, etc. Because it seems like that cover-up has been going on since before Fukushima, obviously. So I'm just going to show you guys a couple of examples for the results that I get when I search for Arizona radiation levels and Arizona radiation level, Fukushima, those type of things. When I search for them, the results I get are pretty lame. Trace levels of radiation from Japan detected March 22nd. Official. Radioactive levels in Arizona will be minimal. March 17th. There is no detectable increase in radiation levels. Insignificant amount of radiation from Japan detected in Arizona. The drinking water in Boise and Richland, Washington was found to contain extremely small amounts of radioactive isotopes from Japan's nuclear disaster. Radioactive isotopes expected to reach U.S. coast in 1 to 2 years. The ocean dilutes the radiation by the time it gets to us. Blah blah blah. And here we have KVOA, which is a news station I've appeared on, and I search for radiation. Absolute BS results. And wherever the radiation levels are mentioned is always prefaced by being referred to as minimal or trace amounts. And given the situation in Texas, I don't think we should trust them. I mean, they're so quickly to call it not a big deal that it is a big deal. It must be. So you can see the cover-up from the get-go. If on March 16th and 17th they were already saying that the radiation levels will be minimal, how could they possibly have any idea of knowing that, given the little amount of information we knew at that time, and we didn't know the extent to which these reactors would continue to melt down as they are still to this very moment. How could they even say it, that it was going to be minimal? So basically the first results that come up when I search for this, they're all from March. March, and it's all bullshit. Where they didn't know anything at that point in time. And some of the last reports stopped in the last week of April, and there's not much else out there other than independent researchers and people on YouTube, but other than that. I wish I knew where to go for radiation level updates. If anybody knows, please go ahead, leave them as a comment. They'll get thumbed to the top, I'm sure. Dutch Sense is currently traveling around with his Geiger counter, taking readings across the country. So that is helpful. That's youtube.com/DutchSense. We need more people with Geiger counters in every state who are not affiliated with the government. I mean, that would be cool. If you have any advice, please let us know.